Hey, 3D animation class, week 13 lecture. Kind of a grab bag of topics today. Just like a couple of listener requests that came in. And then for funsies, I just want to show you a little bit more about like physics simulations, doing like dynamic cloth and dynamic hair, and also maybe we'll look at force fields too, because I think that's sort of an interesting thing. Also, I've included a couple of the rigged characters that we have seen in class previously. We have the cookie flex, I think that's what it's called, rig from Riley. And then also I thought the dragon that Catherine used was pretty cool. So both of those are linked down below if you want to save a copy of just the character, the rigged character, for you to play around with. The next thing, well, I should say the first thing, Peter, and I know I'm calling all of you out by name, so hopefully I'm not embarrassing you, but too bad. One of the ideas that Peter had for his character animation was, and I don't know if he's still doing it, but I thought it was an interesting thing to like figure out how to do. But was to do like a 2D like sprite animation of like the mouth and eyes. This I'd say this is actually like a pretty popular thing to do with even with 3D characters, to have sort of like a flat 2D kind of lo-fi animation. And if you've done other animation classes or 2D animation stuff like that, you like knowing how to like create sprites for an animation can definitely lend itself to that. So I was doing a little bit of learning, or I was looking up like, okay, what's the best method to do this? And then I found a YouTube tutorial, and it's like exactly what I was thinking. So rather than like just me trying to like replicate it, I figured I would just share this, a link to this video with you as well. But basically, how it works is, so this guy had created, outside of Blender. You could do it inside of Blender too if you really wanted to, but like outside of Blender, had created a series of, let's see if I can find it here. Several different, let's see, there's like, 9 or 10 different like poses here. Can I zoom in? Or what's the keyboard shortcut? I think it's Windows Plus. There you go. There's like angry eyes, closed eyes, like sad eyes, the X, whatever. And let's see now, how do I get out of here? Close that. And the method that he uses, and you can watch the video, it's only 10 minutes, so it's not that big of a deal. But you have to have them set up as a sequence, as an image sequence. And so the way to do that is just by having the number at the end be incremental. So like if you can, hopefully you can see, but this is like, it's got a name, and then it's 001, then 002, 003, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that you can import them as one image sequence rather than 10 different images. And once you do that, import them as planes. That's an ad. But then you create a driver that plugs into, so it's like an image texture on a plane. But then you have a drive, and so because it's an image sequence, it knows that there's 10 frames in that sequence. And you can create a driver that's controlled by your rig that will change which image in the sequence it is. So it's pretty slick, and you can just follow along with this if that's something you're interested in. And the link to that is down below. Now, if you were interested in, not needing to use externally created images like these PNGs were, like if you want to be able to create a 2D animated mouth like that hovers in front of your character or something like that, what you would use is the grease pencil. And it works like any other thing you would animate or deform otherwise. So if I'm just going to real quick add in, a monkey like this, and you can key the position of all these like bits. So like you might need to do like soft selection or things like that. But the grease pencil is so I need to do GF. No. G. Oh, I have to middle mouse wheel down. The grease pencil is sort of like the 2.5D way of doing things. And so you can look back at my, I believe in one of the earlier lectures, I spent just a couple minutes looking at the grease pencil in the 2D workflow. Like if you do file new 2D animation, don't save. You can draw a thing and then you can animate it like this. And so then you can have, you can save different poses. So like if this is one thing here and you want to tab to edit this, let's see. Oh no, sorry, you don't edit it. You actually like sculpt it. So you would go to sculpt mode like this, and it adds keyframes like this. So you can, F to make that bigger, change the face, change the whatever, and then you could save this as a pose, and you can change it that way. Okay, so the next thing, and this is another Peter question, Peter request, and you maybe remember us talking about this when we Zoomed the other night. But being able to have like separate controls, like separate sort of global controls on the same armature. Because the problem we were running into was on the nonlinear animator, because the object as a whole was being moved, and when you do the combine on the nonlinear animator, it combines the X and the Y position of the things. So then it like kind of moves up and to the right when you combine things. So I haven't tested this, but I think I have a method for how we can do this. It involves, let's see, this is front, I want it side. It involves making sure that the location of our object is always on 0, 0, 0, so that when you're combining actions, there's like, 0 plus 0 is still 0, but rather the combined action is done through the armature. So hopefully that wasn't like speaking Greek. So let's just do a super duper quick, I don't know if you remember, but like Peter had a motorcycle. So let's pretend this is a sweet motorcycle. This is front and this is the back. So what we wanted was the ability to have a control on the front wheel that could control the whole thing, but then also have a control on the back wheel. So here's how I think this can work. We need to have a new armature. Armature single bone, boom. Let's make it visible in front, viewport display in front like this. Doesn't matter how big it is. So I'm just putting it on the front like this. And actually, you know what? So I think I still want the transform to be at 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to actually, instead of moving that, tab to edit, select this bone as a whole, and then G, move it here like this. Okay, so now I'm going to parent my motorcycle, moto, to this. So I'm clicking the mesh, shift clicking the armature, control P, armature deform, with automatic weight. So like there's only one thing, there's only one bone, so it's all going to be parented to this bone. So just to test, let's go pose mode like this. So like this is the front wheel, like it skids to a stop, skid, and then done. Now let's see if this works. Let's see if my idea works. So I'm going to edit, I'm going to go back to object mode, and actually I'm going to tab to edit this thing now. So I'm going to go Shift A, and I'm to add a new bone. So this is a newbie. I'm going to put this on the back wheel like this. Scale it up, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I suppose it does matter that we want like the bottom, the joint, to be at the bottom, because that's where we want it to like rotate. So this is going to be the back wheel, like if it's doing a wheelie. Okay, so we're still in edit mode. I'm going to select this front one. I'm going to go to constraints. Okay, this is where I'm feeling uncertain of myself. Okay, so I think we do need to be in pose mode. We go to bone constraints. Here we go. This one is going to be the bone constraint we want. So we're in pose mode now. We have the bone constraints tab. We're going to add bone constraint, and we're going to say child of this bone 001. So I should really rename these. So this one is going to be bone is going to be front, and bone 001. This is going to be back. Okay. So this one has a armature. It is the child of back. So let's see if this works. Okay. Bingo. Okay. So does this make sense? So the motorcycle is parented to the front one. So anytime I move the front one, it's gonna do a wheelie. Skirt. The front one is also parented, or not also, but then the front one is parented to the back one. So if I move the back one, it's moving the front one, which also moves the thing. And then you say, well, Nolan, but now like how do I want another one that's in the middle? Fine, just go Shift A, and then there's another one in the middle. Go back to pose mode. Now this one, add a bone constraint. Sorry, whoops. Click on the back one. Add a bone constraint to this one. Child of object armature. This one we're gonna call like middle. Oops, and so then child of middle. And so now if you want to do like this one, you can go cool, right? And so then the advantage of doing this is, I believe, when you okay. Let's go through this really fast now. Okay, so let's make an action. So let's say let me go to dope sheet action editor. Here we go. New action here. So this one is going to be let's see. So okay, oops, sorry. I like this, move forward. G up. So this is going to be, oops, I don't have auto keying on. What's the keyboard shortcut to turn on auto key? Nothing. Okay. Dope sheet action editor. Okay, so like this. It's just going to go up and down. So actually, I can just copy paste these keys. Copy, paste. So it's like, okay. Now, this action is called idle. Push down. Great. Now, new action. This one's going to be called wheelie. Okay, so I'm going to select this backbone. Just like start here maybe. And then whoa. And then back down here. Copy paste. Okay, push this down. Okay, now let's go to the NLA. And we want to let's see. We want to repeat idle 10 times. Like that. Okay, and then we want, let's see. And we want to, how do we blending combine? There we go. So it's doing it. So the idle is happening, and then the wheelie happens on top of it. So you can see that it's still bouncing when we do the wheelie. Oh, I'm feeling really smart right now. I hadn't tested it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure this will work. So vindication. All right. So, the armature thing, getting comfortable, like doing the sort of like mental gymnastics of like, I parent this to this. This controls that, but this controls this, and that is the thing. That takes practice. That just sort of takes like repetition time in. But I'm pleased that this works. Cool. Okay, next let's talk about dynamic hair and cloth real quick. Hello? Is this thing on? Hello? Okay, there we go. It was my own problem. File, new, general, don't save. Delete, Shift A, add a UV icosphere, sure. And, up the subdivisions maybe. Okay. Hair. So dynamic hair is done with a particle system. So we didn't really cover particles in this class, but I guess we are now. Okay. Hit the plus button, add a particle system onto our sphere here. So by default, it's an emitter, so it's emitting particles. This is another cool thing that you can do. So just also as like a fun little thing, you can put a thing on here and do emission and, make it yellow and something like that, and strength up like this, and world as black, and go like this, and render preview. Oh, but what does the particle do the material? Render it here. Material is 001. Render as object. Okay, I got ahead of myself. I don't know anything about this. Back to here. Doesn't matter. Because we're not doing particles, we're talking about hair. And why don't I switch back to Eevee? Okay, I've just, forget all that didn't happen. Forget that didn't happen. New general. Here we go. Don't save. Hey, we're going to talk about dynamic hair physics. Shift A, add an icosphere. Bing, bong, boom. Subdivisions, make it 3. Okay, go to our particle tab here. New particle system. It's hair. There it is. All right. If you press the space bar, if you go to frame 0 and press the space bar, nothing happens. Rather, we want to turn on hair dynamics. Check the box, and now the hair will fall. Droopy hair. Next step here on frame 0, I'm going to do a K location like this. Move forward in time, maybe frame 90. G Shift Z, move it over here. And then K location like this. So it's moving. Press the space bar. Dynamic hair. It flows in the wind. Nice. Hair is happening. Why don't I just for fun make this a V vector so that stops on a dime? Let's see what the hair does. I'll feel a little bit more of a herky jerk. Yeah. Ooh. Cool. All right. So, this is kind of more of a modeling thing, but let's switch this to Cycles. Cycles always handles this a little bit better. And switch to GPU. But the making of the hair to looking the better, you can go to children here. Turn the number of your hair way down. Turn it down to like 150 or something like that. It's gonna render faster, and you're gonna have a better time. The other thing here we can look at is you can do interpolated. So this will just kind of fill in the hair rather than having a bunch of actual like particles that it's having to calculate. Interpolated children just kind of allows for it to like just appear more full. Hair length here, you can obviously change this, and segments will be like how much detail is in kind of the bending of it. So more segments means it's able to like bend a little bit more. And like the higher the quality of the bend. Let's turn our hair length down to 2.5 maybe. Cool. Let's see. Any other things here? There's with the children, there's parting and clumping and roughness and things like that, so you can get it to be more realistic. Hair shape. You can have the like tip be skinnier or like rounder at the bottom, or like whatever. You can play with some of these things. Or strand shape. Cool. Field weights, textures. Okay, so that's the gist of it. If you only wanted it to be in a specific area, let's just interpolate. So also keep in mind here, if you're doing interpolated, that this is the display amount and this is the render amount. So like right here, it looks like this, but if I do a quick render, which I should set the time limit to be 10 seconds, you'll see a lot more in the render as well. So it's going to look a lot more full. So you just need to be aware of that when you're doing interpolated children, that it's oftentimes 10x in the or the default is 10 times the number of hairs, so it's like a very full hair here. But it looks good. It looks cool. Okay, a thing about, so like if you have a character moving around and you have hair on their head like that, it's gonna follow them around. You can also, so for example, oops, I'm about to sneeze. So there's a couple different ways where you can have hair be on just part of the mesh. So obviously, if this was someone's head, the hair wouldn't be all around. So this is just a call back, way back to maybe your 3D Basics class, but to make vertex groups. So with the object selected, we can do a weight paint. And so we can paint with a strength of 1 here on here. So blue means, what this means, if we're coloring in weight paint, we're creating a new vertex group. We're painting on the vertexes either a value of 0 or 1 or anywhere in between. So blue represents 0. So this is going to be 0 hair on here. As I have paint like this, I am welcomed with this bright red color. And I am painting a value of 1 onto this vertex group, this group of vertexes. And we will tell the hair simulation, the particle thing, put hair on these red bits and not on these blue bits. So there we go. Just going to paint a little bit more. So the more vertexes you have, the more detail you can have on this. So you can see, you can only paint on vertexes. That's why it's a vertex group. So the more vertexes you have, the more detailed your painting can be. That's why it looks like that. Okay, so we have on here in vertex groups, we have group. I'm going to call this like hair density. Hair density group. You can go back to the particle system and you can go down, close some of these, hair shape, vertex groups. Open up vertex groups, and here in density we can say hair density. Boom. And now the hair is just on the red bits. There we go. Hair clumping, looking super fine. Okay, but now, we don't want it to be like this. We can do particle edits like this. So up here, top left, object mode, you can say particle edit. You can see it's a comb. And there, hopefully you can guess that you can comb the hair however you want. F to make your brush larger, comb it all back. The other thing to be aware of here, though, is that like the collisions can be funky. You'll see here in a moment that when I play this again, if we go back to object mode, it's like hanging through. Whoops. It's kind of clipping through. You can see that like, it looks like this person is bald on top. So rather, what you could do is you could fiddle with the settings a little bit. You can look at collisions. Up this value, distance. Actually, I think lowering this value maybe makes it better. Structure, stiffness. You can turn the stiffness down to like 0.1 maybe. Maybe change the damping, turn down the damping too a little bit. Volume, let's see, air drag. Some of these things. You can mess with some of these settings and it'll give you a little bit of a better result. So you can see like when I turn down the stiffness, it really flops. The other thing that I've seen people do is duplicating the mesh and just grabbing the bits that you want. So let me get my side view here. Do X-ray select and say give me all these and give me all these. Whoops. X-ray select, give me faces. Select through here and shift select these. There we go. And you can do a shift D to duplicate that and S to scale it up just the tiny. Actually, no, just right click to leave it. And then we can mesh separate P selection. So this is going to be like head, and this is going to be hair. And we can remove the particle thing from the head. No particle system there, just a particle system on the hair. And this can give you a little bit of a better collision experience, because what you can do is, whoops, I'm still in edit mode. You can just like scale this up ever so slightly. And it should hopefully give you a little better collision. You maybe need to up the thickness a little bit too, but anyway. Okay, so that's hair dynamics. Just like, something to play around with. It's one of those things that's like there's not a perfect formula, but with enough tweaking and twiddling, you can get it to where you want it to be. Put a shade smooth on these too. Let's see. The one thing, so when you do the particle edit and do the combing, you're locked into these emission settings. So if you need to redo this, you just have to say delete edit, and it'll stick back out again, and then you can change the number. You can change the emission stuff, the hair length, and stuff like that. So the combing kind of locks it in, and you just have to delete like this, and then you can redo it. Yeah, what's the best way? You maybe need to if you really want it to be good, you would up the segments to be a lot, maybe like 20. I'm going to do 24 just for fun. 324. I'm going to up the stiffness by a little bit. Ding, ding, ding. 0.4. Let's see what this gives us. Yeah, it's still pin stiffness. Let's turn this up a little bit. What does this do? Okay. So maybe that's more what I'm thinking. Let's see. Let's try 0.02. But I do kind of like that effect. Pin stiffness. Yeah, like we want the pin to like 0.001. Give me a little tiny bit of pin stiffness. No, we need a little more than that. Or not, that's not pin goal stretch. Or not pin distance. So 0.01 is 10 times that. Okay, so it's somewhere in between 0.007. 007. Getting closer. 0.004. 0.001. Didn't I already do that? Then that didn't feel right. 0.002. Isn't this fun? Isn't this like great content? Yeah, okay, so it's somewhere in there. 0.0025. Okay, whatever. Let's talk about cloth dynamics real quick. All right, let's talk about cloth real quick. So I'm actually going to leave the default cube here. I'm going to do Shift-A, add a plane, S to scale it up, and GZ. And this, what I'm about to do is actually like a very kind of trendy thing to do. If you're on Reddit and if you're part of the Blender subreddit, this might seem familiar to you. But just doing very simple cloth simulations like this and dropping a piece of cloth on a thing. And it's like, here, I'll even just show it to you. So let's see. Physics, cloth on the plane. This is going to have collision, and we want our collision. I think that's fine, actually. So if I play like this, so this is like one subdivision. This, like you even see it on TikTok. This is, or no subdivision. It just bounces on there. Now let's tab subdivide. This is one subdivision. Okay, it bends a little bit. Okay. Tab, right click, subdivide. Tab, two subdivisions. Oh, it's getting there. Anyway, let's cut to the chase. Let's go A for all and subdivide a bunch. There we go. So this is a more realistic cloth simulation here. Okay, and of course put a shade smooth on it. Your collision. Let's see. Quality steps. Upping these things, physical properties, stiffness, tension. Things that you can affect kind of how it collides. But what I wanted to show you was like animating. So rather than doing that, I'm going to Shift-A. I'm going to add a new plane like this. I'm going to go RX90 here like this. And subdivide this a bunch of times until I feel like it is adequate. There we go. And let's put the cloth simulation on here. Go back to frame 0. Now, remember, you can pin a specific part of the mesh to stay in place. So I'm going to go tab in edit mode, and I'm going to select this top layer here. And I'm going to vertex groups, and I'm going to add a vertex group here. And this is going to be called like my pinned vertexes. And so I'm by creating a pin group, so I have these ones selected, I have pinned vertexes, and I need to hit assign. I'm assigning the selected vertexes to this vertex group. And this is where I'm going to say, okay, these vertexes are pinned in place. These ones don't move, so the rest is going to kind of waggle. Now, let's see. I have to go to my particle properties, and within cloth, if we go way down, it's here in shape. And we have pin group, and we can say pinned vertexes. And so now when you play this, it's not going to fall. It's just going to do nothing because there's nothing in here. So before we like actually wave this flag, let's just see if we can figure out how to make a force field real quick. So let me I've never actually done this. This will be an experiment. Let's make a force field like this, and type is going to be force. Settings, shape, point, strength, 1, flow. Let's just see what this does. Will this do anything? Actually, let's change this to be wind. I think this is what we want. I think, let's see. I don't know if it needs to be a cube or what. Let's up the strength. Let's just see what happens here. Will this blow it? Huh. Oh, I think you don't put it on an object. I think you can just go Shift A and add a force field like this. And let's add wind here like this. And now this is going to give us, this is going to wind for us, I believe. And I think you need to turn up the strength. Let's see, shape, plane. Okay, wind factor. Okay, I think this needs to be like a really big number. I think this needs to be like 300. Let's try it now. Let's see if this blows our cloth. Okay, it's just starting to blow a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so let me move this out. Can I flow? Let's see. Oops, undo that. Can I like scale it down maybe? Let's make this like 1,000. That was 10,000, 1,000, please. Let's see what this does. There we go, now it's blowing. Okay, blowing wind, nice. Last step of this, let's actually like put this on a thing, on like a flagpole, and let's make it wave. Let's go back to frame 0. Shift A, I'm gonna add a new cylinder, and S Shift C like this, and SZ like this, and RY90. Front view, let's put it right here. I'm gonna be careful not to actually put these pinned vertices inside, because I am gonna turn on collision. So I just want it to be like just as close as it can without actually colliding. So I'm gonna get in real close here. Nice, okay. So I'm gonna parent this to this. So I'm just gonna go dink dink, Control P, parent like this, parent to object. I think this is gonna work. Let's see what happens. So let's see, this is gonna start here, and I'm gonna go I, and then I'm gonna move up here. Well, okay, yep, it's doing something. And then just move here like this, I. So let's just, whoops, I, there we go. Let's let it simulate. Ta-da, flag. So it's not self-colliding. Let's see, shade smooth. It is just a setting in here, so it's like way down here. So it's not stiffness, damping, or internal springs, or pressure. It is here in collisions. And we just check self collisions like this. Let's see how this does again. So if you had, oh. Did I turn something on that I didn't mean to? Self collisions off. Huh. Oh, maybe I need to change some of these like distance settings a little bit. Friction. Do like almost no friction. Distance, turn that down. Impulse clamp. Don't know. Let's see what this does. This is feeling a little better. Oh, yes. Oh, it's beautiful. And the wind is blowing on it too, a little bit. Cool. All right. So there's just a few bonus things for you this week. So you should be actually animating by now. So hopefully you've got your idea finalized. You're starting to put pen to paper. You're actually moving things in your around in your scene, getting things blocked out. And then the next couple weeks you'll be doing in between keyframes, tweaking, refining, and then rendering the last week. So next 1 week from today is Thanksgiving, so you don't have anything for me next week at all. The following week we will do a little progress check. We'll do one final Zoom before our last Zoom, and I'll answer any questions. That one will be sort of informal. I'm thinking about one more thing. So if you wanted to play with cloth a little bit more on a character, that might be a cool thing to do, to have sort of dynamic cloth and things like that. Might be a nice little addition. So let me know if you have any questions. Send me an email. Have a nice Thanksgiving break, and we'll see you the week after for a little Zoomy Zoom.